Good afternoon. This is Stephen Lewis. We're going to be talking today about the denominational diversity in early American Christianity. When people hear the denominational diversity in early American Christianity, they often imagine a kind of calm religious variety, like different churches simply existing side by side. But in the colonial and early national period, diversity wasn't just a cultural feature, it was a political and legal problem that communities had to solve in real time. One of the key points that historians Charles Cohen and Terence Murphy make is that British North America wasn't settled by one single religious project. It was shaped by multiple migration streams and competing Christian communities, and those communities brought their own institutions, expectations, and arguments about what a Christian society was supposed to look like. And once these groups existed in the same space, they didn't automatically agree. Murphy emphasizes that early America saw rival denominations competing and negotiating, producing both conflict and moments of consensus. To see what that looked like on the ground, the best evidence is in the law. A good starting point is the Maryland Toleration Act of 1649, officially called an act concerning religion. This is often described as an early milestone in toleration, but it's important to understand what kind of toleration it actually offered. Maryland wasn't embracing modern religious freedom. It was trying to prevent religious division from tearing the colony apart. So the law protected certain kinds of religious difference, mainly among Christians, while still setting boundaries around acceptable belief and behavior. In other words, denominational diversity existed, but the government tried to manage it through legal rules, not simply celebrate it. Then you have Rhode Island's Charter of 1663, which represents a different approach, which you might call pluralism by design. Rhode Island's political framework made liberty of conscience a basic feature of the colony's legitimacy. The implication is pretty significant. Public order does not require religious uniformity. Instead of using law to enforce one church, Rhode Island tried to keep peace by allowing multiple denominations to exist without state punishment for dissent. Next is the Pennsylvania Charter of Privileges from 1701. Pennsylvania is a great example because it blends principle with practicality. It protects religious conscience and creates legal conditions that made the colony attractive to many different Protestants. But it also highlights a tension that runs through early American pluralism. Colonies could support broad religious variety while still linking full political power to certain religious expectations. So you get a system that encourages diversity but also shows the limits of how far equality could extend in that period. This is where Murphy's point and rival denominations really matters. Pluralism did not eliminate competition. It shaped the arena where the competition happened. Finally, by the time you reach the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom in 1786, the debate has shifted from a colonial management issue to a revolutionary era argument about rights and the legitimacy of government. Virginia's statute rejects the idea that citizens should be compelled by law to support religion, and it frames religious belief as something that should not determine civil standing. It's essentially saying government doesn't own conscience, and citizenship isn't supposed to depend on belonging to the right denomination. So what do these sources show us when you put them together? They show an evolution. Early on, denominational diversity forced colonies to decide what kinds of difference they would tolerate without losing stability. Over time, some places moved from toleration with boundaries, like Maryland, toward legal frameworks that normalized pluralism, like Rhode Island and Pennsylvania. And by the early national period, especially with Virginia, you can see the emergence of a more rights-based model that would influence how Americans understood religious freedom going forward. The big takeaway is that denominational diversity wasn't just something early Americans observed, it was something they argued about, legislated, and built political systems around. And as Cohen suggests, colonial North America became a major arena in Christianity's broader history precisely because multiple Christian groups attempted to build communities under new conditions. Diversity didn't simply survive the early period, it helped shape the legal and political DNA of American public life. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this talk.